My Northern Achiever is proudly brought to you by Bonzal Rural Bank Limited, Unity, Strength, and Wow.
The movers and the shakers in the Consultative Assembly.
I am a native of Dabo.
Go back to the Holy Quran for solutions. Now the Al Quran of the Shah.
And you'll born Abdul-Nasir Imam Mahmoud Alhaji Jibril Imam Shah.
Tomorrow's responsibilities will be greater.
The name, you can be sure, emanated.
So why not join me, Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, the son of Musa Kumo, as my guests and I thrill you to life-changing stories. Thank you so very much for tuning to Sagani TV's My Northern Achiever. I am Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, son of Musa Kumo. Every Friday, and this is how I do it on My Northern Achiever. I bring prominent Northern Ghanaians who have toiled so much to become successful in life, and so the younger ones will learn from them. How did they get to these particular places? Was it by sakawa or by hard work? Whichever way it is, we will get to know and learn from them, so that at least in future we will also become successful men and women of substance. I'm going to go for a very quick commercial break, but before I do that, I need to remind you that My Northern Achiever is proudly sponsored by Bonzal Rural Bank Limited. We'll go for a quick break. We'll be back shortly after this break. There is an adage in Dagbani that says that if you look down upon a soothsayer in your house, when you need the services of one at midnight, no one will tell you where to go. Bonzale have been with us for over 20 years now. They have never swindled anyone before, so do not be deceived by anyone. Rush now to any Bonzale branch or worker and start trading with them. Bonzale Rural Bank have the following accounts: current account, savings account, salary account, Walima account, Hajj account, Zabuni account, and corporate account, Abida and Shell account, and also fixed deposit account. They also offer loans including individual loan, salary loan, wash loan, microfinance group, salary advance, and many more. They also have SMS alert, ATM with GH Link, EaseReach, Western Union and MoneyGram, Apex Link, and mobile money. Bonzale have branches in Kumbungu, Tamale Main, Lamashegu, Yendi, Karga, Nyampala, Sang, and Charpone with the head office at Kumbungu. Call Bonzale on the following number:
20.
My Northern Achiever is proudly brought to you by Bonzal Rural Bank Limited, Unity, Strength, and Wow.
Thank you for staying with me on My Northern Achiever. I am Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, son of Musa Kumo, and today, like always, I have another great Northern personality, a prominent Northern person who have risen from all the ranks and files in the banking sector, and today he's making a lot of waves and strides in the banking sector in the country. And we're going to take his life, the magic wand that he has to have taken him to this particular level and where he wants to get to, because he's a youth just like myself, though very, very much older than me. Today I have with me the head of business banking, Stanbic Bank, Ghana. His name is Mr. I could say Alhaji Farhan Al-Hassan. Haj, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for, squeezing out time from all these your business schedules to speaking to us today. I believe that by the end of this particular program, a lot of the youth, including my good self, are going to learn a lot from you, so that at least we can help shape our lives. But we need to start with this particular simple question I ask almost all my guests every day. People see you on TV, in the news, and everywhere, but we don't really know who you are. So if I were to ask you, who is Mr. Farhan, how are you going to describe yourself?
So it's a pleasure to be on a program today, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Farhan is who you've just seen here, a very humble, young, proud Northerner. That's who I am. There's nothing more to who I am. So if you ask me who's Farhan, very humble, very respectful young man, and very proud Northerner.
I love this. This is very brief but powerful. A very affable, young, proud Northern Ghanaian, and humble, respectful. I think these two are things that at least whoever is watching at home would begin to even learn, even though we have not even gotten deeper into the interview. But let's move forward to talking about family, because family values are so important to an extent that
how you are raised determines who you are in society. Which family do you come from, and what kind of upbringing did you get growing up?
So I think for those in Tamale, you'd have heard of Alhaji Dandawa. That's my dad. Yeah, he's got lots of kids. I think at the last count we have about 30 children. Wow. So from Karaga, but born in Tamale. I've lived all my life in Tamale. I was privileged to have attended Presby Primary, Presby JSS in Kamvili, and of course I had my secondary school in the Greater Moscow, the best secondary school in the whole country. Yeah, so yeah.
And there's Ghana school. How can you leave Ghana and go to Tamale?
That's nice. You guys are our younger brothers. So yeah, so I've lived all my life in Tamale here. Okay. I'm not new. For those who were in Tamale in the late 90s, I used to play very good football as well. Wow. I used to play for a coaching called Eagles. Okay. I don't know whether they are still in existence, but I love football. Yeah, I love football.
But what did you read at Tabasco?
So as a science student, I read chemistry, physics, mathematics as electives, and read a core subject like any other person.
So at that point in time in your life, what were you dreaming to become?
So as with many Northerners, you normally would not have any career path. You look at people as role models and you want to be like them. So I recall my parents wanting me to be a medical doctor, and that's how come I read science back in school. Okay. Then as time went on, I realized that I didn't have what it takes to do science. I was one person who could not sit down and read for a very long time. I didn't like biology, but I was very good in calculation. So I decided to opt for elective math instead of biology. So I actually read mathematics back in the university.
Let's creep a little into tertiary education. From Tamasco, where did you find yourself? So
I went to Ken University. In Ken University, let me just take you back a little again. So back in Presby, I was the first Muslim SP, senior prefect, back in Presby. Okay. So I was SP back in primary school. This was in 1992. Then I was also the senior prefect back in the junior high school. So
which year was that one?
This was in 1996, 95-96.
Was it still middle school?
No, this was just JSS. This was JSS. I'm quite young. Don't think I'm old. I'm quite young. Yeah. Wow. Then I went to Tamasco. Tamasco House in Tamakolo House, which is revered to be the best house in Tamasco. Yeah. I'm so lucky. I go to all the good schools. Yeah. Exactly. So I was a house prefect in Tamasco as well in 1999. So I've been quite lucky to have gone to the best schools and belong to the best houses.
But let's come to talk about your footballing life. You know, people who are close to you, who knows you, you know, eulogizes the way you used to play, and they believe that you could have been a very good footballer. You know, what happened?
So, like I said, I started to read science back in school, and it was difficult to combine football and science. Science was a very difficult subject, so it needed a lot of diligence, a lot of hard work, and I just couldn't combine that with the football. So football became like a part-time. I just played it for fun, but not as something that I thought I could advance a career in. Wow. Yeah.
Now let's talk about KNUST. You went into KNUST and you started your tertiary education there. What did you read there?
Studied mathematics. I had my first degree in mathematics in KNUST. Wow. And in KNUST again, I was the NUCS president back in tech. So I happened to have had a very good leadership positions. I was privileged to have been asked by colleagues to lead them in championing their courses back in school. So back in tech, I was the NUCS president. I studied mathematics. People were surprised that a science student was eagerly interested in student politics. So yeah. And
now, you did your first degree in mathematics at KNUST, and right after, what happened?
So after my first degree, like I said, I was the NUCS president. So there were plans to actually advance a career in politics. Okay. So the initial plan was to do my first degree in mathematics, probably study law for my master's and launch a career in politics. Incidentally, I happened to have done my service back in Cal Bank. This was in 2004, 2005. And I think I enjoyed the whole banking setup. And that took away my interest in any other thing. And then I said, look, this appears to be a much better career path to pursue. And that's how come I took up a career in banking.
Okay. What was it that you were doing at Cal Bank that interested you more as a banker, and then you wanted to now, choose a career path there?
So the whole essence of wanting to have done politics was to have touched people's lives. I think that politicians have a much bigger opportunity to touch people's lives. And whilst I was in banking, I happened to have found myself doing business, and it was similar to what I wanted to do. I was touching people's lives back in the banking sector. It was so profound to meet clients who needed money to save their lives. Either they were in the hospital, they wanted to pay their medical bills, or they had a business that they were running that they wanted to use to pay their kids' school fees, or they normally would have a need that would touch their lives. And it was just so nice to be part of helping them fulfilling their aspirations and goals.
So what specific role were you playing as a national service personnel at Cal Bank that put you in such a sensitive position?
I was so privileged. When I joined Cal Bank in 2005, they had just acquired their universal banking license. So we used to have merchant banks and retail banks in those days. So Cal Bank had just acquired their universal banking license to do both merchant banking, which we call corporate banking today, and retail banking. And were the first guys they used to start their retail banking wing. So even whilst I was in national service, I was fully part and parcel of the setup in that particular unit, and I could do anything that any other person could have done. So within a very short time, they actually spent a lot in training us, and within a year, I could say I was a very well-molded retail banker.
Wow. And so when they got the license, you applied for?
When they got the license, they now had a retail wing. Okay. So when they brought us in as national service, we were working in that retail wing. So we were the first guys they used to set up their retail business. And of course, because they were eager to establish themselves as a very strong, credible retail business, they actually spent a lot of money in ensuring that we had the requisite skills and training to be able to support their clients as and when they did the arrows.
Wow. After you the company, I to touch la nearby lives. Karo kokos uchaka company. After the hand to kupe bank and la, kana kuinon de la. Fama, are you in the politics fune? The man leadership, but jela de fune ngara kama kula touching lives wo konko. Anto man ni robu katanma yes. Ama I pa uno to ungbob solution yaranka. The man la politics ma bulgaran. Niru kamara mbongo ma to bochune kama yiru politics ne ka jaguma to charge yaranka. Ama niya the company in future ato labna politics.
It's not something that can turn no. Because I lead a politics ma. You delegates in the palm. Ka jealous biani, ka tapto biani is full of malice, deceit. You should get your palm, and I think that at a certain point in time, you just have to make a bold call. Yes, there's enormous opportunity to touch people's lives when you are in politics. Like I said earlier on, Anto Zang level sinkana potential ne. I be politics ne, but the pengil to ashama you drama galsi apam ka jiri galsi ka jealous ma galsi ka jena mina amabia it's not something that sits very well within me. So at the moment, unless this stretch of time, it's not something that I think I am willing to do. But of course, from the background, I told you that like I said earlier on, if your intention was to touch people's life, then what's the need in wanting to move into politics again? Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, then I ask some but tiyan tersutu dia pun itu labna yang teman buai kage dangma na tadi trust la dia pa pawala ka Alhaji da mala ka bufunu ngone da mu asabe ko kuto ba na bufunu nda nyama bezaje la mala nda mu asabe ile ka wula ka dundomani ida be ka ja kuto umje ntin ya hainu so
Alhaji da mala karan zon wayo mane bizara le da kunya yi shale fama zane biane to fama be pan kan Qur'an kan nyala yi mane ka bakaram anye paba da galsiya mam musulma la paba na so at any point in time bala paba na handa be ndon mane ana be ma tipa be beta from I think about paba you be paba you point balama manye next be paba mane and so yeah
So I think that motivate Rana what you have.
This is talk about no medicine, but it's not something that I relate to that I wanted. And I think that's a lesson that Captain Banam I bought not being number shauka, Ukure Cadene, Akon Lamon Lerinya, Ukure Bishana, Malivia la Casmoco on only. There's a missing Navanga, I've been about no Yurua, I chanted the Lonto, Kumeka Wurua. So I think basically that was it. Also, I was no medicine, but I'm sure Zumoli should be very happy that we didn't make a mistake by not studying medicine. President Daniela Yahudaonum Shukuran Daniele. Katibama nya fakasan tichangla Shukurma. Nta laranam mi behinda bela Shukurma. Tukunda kunyiba banam palarnama ki bela Shukurma. To school fees mi dana jinsan katipata tenye nyeba yo first. The bama da ko mampam ko ma kat school fees the bizarre so le urame kat you school fees antiti kanya de jamin you everything kanya de pala la ko mala ura onda ko bono chiko behnya very good education and unkami presby those days presby used to be the best school in Tamale kabel kare kunya larnam konko behe mchane ka fees be high ka abama sana changla la shukurma ka ana shi borbe shakara kane ka dimi pala wonya la larlana the zonta de ba pa gat patam pa parashalbane. So I'm just encouraging parents come on. He's not be drive be kon man ke isa be la be man to ma da ko man pam ka pa to konko be za ko kon ma shukuma min karba una aborka je an chanle that's very very important kan bon nchi kan bon banka ma to puya ka pane onda le na woni yelni tinyala amana zanto only intervene yalangala ko but shelle intervene yalangma to paro na dana. Yeah,
but let's still stay in the family. You know, what kind of relationship do you have with your siblings, your brothers, your sisters, and how is the family? Like, what kind of strength do you have as a family?
It's a very strong family. I mean, the family unit is very very strong. I think that's one thing at the Bamako. I cannot take kunyala za in jealousy kani. Normally I told Lila Yinsman Zunika jealousy benpam, but to kunyala zaini. The unity in the home is extremely exemplary. So come in so come so piano bring your tishama. Can give you Alhaji won't be home on a way. But Tapkana, I tap some of the Malat Zaka tapsi. So I couldn't to kunyala zaini. Tika Alhaji Bimo Kalaji Bimo, Karabema Zakula Mini Zayine. So I can have a be petama, take to get be petama. Yakazamo, 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 Zakunela Zayine.
But let's come to talk a little more about your work experiences. You started at Cal Bank from National Service, then you were retained there when they got their, mainstream banking license. Now, what happened there?
So from Cal Bank, I stayed in Cal Bank for 1.5 years, and so
what kind of transformations did you bring, as a team to Cal Bank to making it what it is today? So
I would always say that believe it, the bank so it's a mantra that has always been with me. So it's never been about Bokan Song Kaiza Kena. And today I can Kalba retail wing. It's one of the strongest retail wings across the country. I mean, Takwa branch, Mandacha Tivila Takwa branch. I am told that Tungushita Lab didn't make a profit Gary any other branch apart from their head office branch. And when I look at that, I get so excited that that's my legacy as well. So what kind of transformation did I bring in? Timimba banda be mazada soya ntabe ka bangma to padem papa reshalma. So it's normally not about money, it's normal about wula katenno nzala panadene.
Wow. The we factor is always important, and so always thinking about a group rather than money. But let's talk about what happened next after Cal Bank. Where did you find yourself next?
So Cal Bank, Accra Kandabe. Then within a very short time, like I said, the bank was so happy with performance. So no problems takwadi kan jam takwadi matinya kula kan song kat bank ma bazugo denne. So no pardon the to be like a yogi branch takwa kan alam pa mo tako ma yaro so takura di ba ya tsinga chang takwa so takwa branch manon ku yogi la branch ma so mbela denne nta kaman 9 months kat non denne ka Barclays kana do baro regional manager mammi ka bon kan non la tuma in Zanzibar. This was, I think, 2 years into my professional life. So the bend that man because I didn't think I had what it took to do that job, but I got a lot of encouragement from Dilbakamo, Antonio, Letini, Ampompa, Sham Kalbang, but also Dimela to Mama. So remember that could be a Daraboneka, Yellow Bora, Kabian, Nimigati Bora, Antonio. Then eventually, I think in August 2007, Kalatma of an Kanati Lebe regional manager. So from Kalma, Nlabla, Barclays, internal Barclays, but I think I did 7 years in 7.5 years in Barclays as the regional manager. Wow. So I think at a point that lab na young polo. So igumana bugumana branch omanda yule kayo go boku branch kayo bolga kayo wa. So nda kala yonda lehla northern region, upper east, upper west and brown half. So there are barpam to Daniel. To now me that's what I try to me Vinyalanga. So that tun that my 2 years. You might can that tun. Ka be to bon tinta na ka tun shali aye poloma ato tumle Vinyalanga. Tumal tumata Ankara lamna Ankara ba ntinya wula ka no ntiga bangba chanto na Ankara. Kanda lab Ankara 2010. Nti ilan digi another cluster of branches. Ntilan le redibaya.
Tiyan ku chanto fo kon ka labla won kam fe wunda an ba ne kamane ma no na chiva yala amfani program shale don tune a chaka amina adal ya risa jiya to wumdele ka jire hankal sha lala nirmo ma sane Mr. Farhan yar on ni so ma za sa yuwale nta ayulo ma la va o ni ya no ma la va ma obo yule o man ko ma la shi sinin sala o kunyala ni o kunu ko kunye ni sala ka so kam za sa tin kana to twase onye all the mention tang sham ne ren so sham ja abu tuni hay ko te pago on pa sham wa di chan ka ta tun butu ko kon kalabna kazanti dare sama go ma zon so
Batman Zanma. Maga yaka do jama. Ko so am der kakra bora je song ma.
So links ma ba jara.
Anyi division ma ya. Na no so agban ze la ma. Ma Paso. Bula. Wuka so la ri bank ne. Ya ka metu in ka se bola ma. Relax kana. Kizan lo ma sanji.
Paso rafa.
Bu bank nye.
Te kan yala. Nyama. Cha yalla kamya. Ka bola bonza rula bank shi.
Hein?
Ai tan bonza le. Ayelle kam ning ma.
Bonza rula bank.
Bonza rula bank.
There is an adage in Dagbani that says that if you look down upon a soothsayer in your house, when you need the services of one at midnight, no one will tell you where to go. Bonzale have been with us for over 20 years now. They have never swindled anyone before, so do not be deceived by anyone. Rush now to any Bonzale branch or worker and start trading with them. Bonzale Rural Bank have the following accounts: current account, savings account, salary account, Welma account, Hajj account, Zabuni account, and corporate account, Abida and Shell account, and also fixed deposit account. They also offer loans including individual loan, salary loan, wash loan, microfinance group, salary advance, and many more. They also have SMS alert, ATM with GH Link, EaseReach, Western Union and MoneyGram, Apex Link, and mobile money. Bonzale have branches in Kumbungu, Tamale Main, Lamashegu, Yendi, Karga, Nyampala, Sang, and Charpone with the head office at Kumbungu. Call Bonzale on the following number:
'Tintinasara,
My Northern Achiever is proudly brought to you by Bonzale Rural Bank Limited. Unity, strength, and wow.
Thank you so very much for keeping faith with me on my Northern Achiever on Sagani TV. I am Abdul-Jalil Naabeli son of Musa Kumo. We are proudly sponsored by Bonzale Rural Bank Limited, the bank that have you in mind. Go into Bonzale Rural Bank, open an account with them, and you would be happy you do. Today I am with Alhaji Farhan Al-Hassan. He is the head business banking at Stanbic Bank Ghana, and we are in the offices of Stanbic Bank today to take this interview. Now, let's come to talk about your work experiences at Barclays Bank. This is a big bank, or it's an international bank, and you were able to manage the northern region, some parts of, is it the Brown Afro region then, Upper East and Upper West, as just you. I do know that there were people, helping out and everything, like you said before, it's always about we and not me. But trust me, if you are given such a huge responsibility and you don't have the wherewithal, you are not strong enough character-wise, and you don't have that leadership skills, you will fail. How were you able to manage these 4 regions at the same time?
So I think first is just around the foundation that I had. Like I explained to you earlier, I was privileged to have had stint with some good rules whilst I was growing up. I was a senior prefect back in the primary school, senior prefect back in the JSS, prefect back in the secondary school, MOOCs president back in tech. And of course, because I came from a very big home, you naturally would have learned certain things from a lot of people. And I think that was the foundation of my leadership. And in many of those roles in the corporate world, you would begin to see how leadership is very key. So I think that gave me the right head start to take up the roles, the senior roles that I mentioned earlier on in Barclays.
What monumental activities did you bring, or changes did you bring to Barclays back then?
So when people ask this question, I normally find it very difficult to really answer. But I look back at the vivification of the bank back in the north. The fact that when I was coming in here, there were intentions of actually closing branches. Yeah. I came in and I was actually able not just to close, but to even add more branches. For me, it was a great achievement. Baku was a place where I put up a branch that was doing very, very well against all odds. Burger branch is still one of their very good branches. I opened that branch as well. You have a branch back in here, which was something that I can say was as a result of my inputs. You've got your branches in Techiman and in Bekum, which are still very, very profitable branches. And I think it's because of the foundations that we laid in those places. So if you ask me what is the monumental achievement, this is what I look at. But I have friends who have told me that the achievements back in Accra are just so much, because in Accra you actually saw that I had developed lots of people. I recall when I was leaving Barclays Bank, I could look into every branch and I could look into everyone's face and see the individual impacts that I made on each and every one of them. And people think that for them surpasses the achievements back in the north. So if you ask me, it's really difficult to tell which of them I think was there.
One thing though, before you came to open these branches in the north, up north here, Barclays Bank was seen or perceived by Northerners as a bank for the elite. And all of a sudden, you made it so attractive to even the market woman, the ordinary citizen. How did you do it?
So it was just about understanding the dynamics of the area. You can't have a one-cap-fits-it-all. I think that's what happens to many organizations. They just have one product and they want everyone to fit into it. It doesn't happen like that. You need to appreciate the nuances of the area and then tailor your products to align with the nuances of the area. You had people in the north here who could not afford to open an account with 200 Ghana cedis at that time instantly. But if you open an account for them, on a monthly basis, you have some remittances flowing into the account. So we introduced what we call the zero balance account, which allowed anyone to walk into your branch, open an account, and fund the account later on. I think that was one major difference that we brought into the banking sector. I recall when I started doing retail, people were doing loans up to only 36 months. I was one of those who said, look, why can't you do loans for 60 months? So we started paying off loans and giving people a much longer tenor before many other banks now began to take up that as well. So I think it was just about understanding the market dynamics and then ensuring that whatever you do is what the client wants. You cannot do something and expect the client to align to it. Get to understand what the client wants and then develop products to align or to tailor your products to that particular need of the client. And I think that is what we did very well here. Like I said, I mean, initially there were no plans of having a second branch in Tamale, but within a very short time, people realized that the market was big. Banks started coming in. When we came in, Stanford came in.
And even the main branch was now, expanded.
Exactly.
Wow. Now let's talk about, fast forward, you left Barclays Bank for Stanford Bank, right? So many people are wondering why you would leave such a huge position where you were a regional manager, so to speak, and went to join Stanbic Bank. What was your role at Stanbic Bank at the time you were leaving Barclays?
So I guess the question is, what was my role in Barclays before I joined Stanbic, right? Okay. So my last role in Barclays was the head of retail distribution. So for the whole country. So don't forget that as a zonal head, look after just a cluster of branches. So my last role was to look after all the branches across the country. So which is a job I came to do in Stanbic initially. So I led Barclays on the same road to come and do it in Stanbic. And I've had people again ask me, why would you leave such a big bank with many more branches to Stanbic? And I tell them that it was just a challenge. I mean, I saw in Stanbic huge opportunities that, look, with the right leadership, they could actually become the best bank in the country. And I'm sure that in the few years that we have worked with Stanbic, we've actually been able to take it to that level. So it was just a challenge of making another difference somewhere else that motivated me to leave Barclays and join Stanbic when they came knocking at my doors and, look, we think you are the right person to take this to the next chapter.
Was it about money, pay? Maybe Barclays was underrating you and they didn't pay you as much as Stanbic Bank would pay you.
So I was a very, very cherished asset in Barclays. I mean, till date, I still work in there and people say, look, we want you to come back. So it was never about money. Barclays could pay me the same money that Stanbic offered, or they could even pay more, which they were willing to do. It was just more around the challenge, the fact that, look,
you wanted to face
exactly. Look, you've been there for some time, you've done everything in Barclays. There was virtually nothing more to do.
In time, you would leave Stanbic for another challenge.
You never say no. You never know what happens. You understand? I think that there's still a lot for us to do back in Stanbic here, and we just scratch the surface, and there's a lot more for us to achieve.
Let's talk a little more about some little personal stuff. You are a very fine, handsome gentleman, and no one would doubt the fact that you are also well-to-do. A lot of us in this day would be chasing after women, frivolities, and vanity all around. How have you been able to keep yourself away from especially women?
So don't forget, I come from a very strict Muslim home. I mean, my dad is one of the strictest parents you can ever find, and of course, I was a student of Ambaria Islamic Institute. So you've got a lot of your imams and ulama in town. Yeah. You come from a very respectable home, so you need to be very careful about the lifestyle that you live. So for me, I think that has been a guiding factor. The fact that you don't want to embarrass your parents, you don't want to embarrass your teachers, you don't want to embarrass your friends and your community. So it's a major guide that anytime you want to do something, you ask yourself, how would these people feel if they hear you have done something like this?
Because we have seen people in town who are less richer than you are, who are less handsome than you are, who probably cannot even play football the way you do, but the way they carry themselves and other stuff. But coming to talk about some of these things, how has it helped you? The fact that you've stayed away from women, from all kind of bad things in life, how has that helped you?
I think that's the end result that you are seeing today. There's a saying that there's more sleep after death. I normally would say that just need to sacrifice a little of some of those enjoyments for now, for tomorrow. And I have no regrets at all that I came from a very strict home. In my home, you couldn't go out after 6 o'clock. You needed to be home by 6 to pray your Maghrib prayers, pray your Isha prayers. After Isha, you cannot go out again. So there was always a conflict between when do I go to play football and when do I come back home. Whilst you had friends who could
stay outside for as long as they wish.
Exactly. So I think that upbringing has been extremely useful, and I would take this opportunity to thank my parents for actually having played that significant role in our lives.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But before I go for another quick commercial break and back, I know you are married. You have one wife. How many kids do you have?
I've got four kids for now.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 kids.
How many do you plan having?
As many as God gives me.
Wow.
Yeah, you have no control over these things.
Do you see your wife as your first wife or your wife?
I'm a Muslim, so anything is possible. Anything is possible. I don't try to put a line in the sand to say this is where it stops. You understand? Once you are a Muslim, anything is possible. Yeah.
I do hope that we will be able to come and do the fifth sooner very soon.
By the grace of God. So I've got 3 girls and 1 boy. Yeah, 3 boys and 3 girls and 1 boy.
Wow, that's great. Women, they are always good. It's good to have a lot of them in your house, so that at least they will come and pay the bride price and take them away. Well, anyways, that is it for family with Alhaji. But let's now come to talk a little more about Stanbic Bank. You left Barclays, you now came into Stanbic Bank. And what was your job description at Stanbic Bank when you joined?
So I joined Stanbic Bank as, if you like, the head of the brand distribution. So they call the head of channels. So I was in charge of all their branches across the country, opening new branches, all their ATMs, your digital channels like your internet banking, everything. So if you like, I was the head of retail in Stanbic Ghana. So I did that job for a while, and Stanbic leads with business banking. So the opportunity to do business banking arose, and obviously I took advantage of that. Wow. Yeah, so I joined Stanbic as head of.
So as head of business banking, what do you do?
So like the name connotes is business. So all the businesses that you see around who bank with Stanbic Bank, I have ultimate responsibility for all those businesses. So today, if your Sagani TV opens an account with Stanbic Bank, it will sit under my segment. So you have your branch here, the RM is working on them. So if there's anyone who takes responsibility for all of them across the entire country, everything now comes back to me. Wow. So are you account manager ka bobu aviyalanga ka bonne ati complain ntibu boss za ma nsangartin kana azantibu boss we go zantibu boss so di para sa wonde pala de taragama shila MD sankan to lampa ya. Wow. Yeah.
But the next question is about so essentially Stanbic Bank number Zanti Saloma. Duzo pamka nya karmala kamane ikubiara banking system map ni ndiri nirba lare kanyar yuar de funa ma yibu son de nirba yema lala nyale.
So banda kan yalma, and I list Stanbic Bank to purpose nyame Africa is our home, we drive her growth. Africa nyeti yenga. Duzo tenem ncheka Africa duzura. Te purpose nyesha lambalama. Ami kutu chika Africa zuge mpahala la small businesses ma action de bana la wala kalmal intumde tuma. So aka te kungo nye bangasha dem be Ghana ngoka ten total loan up to 600 million 6 billion la kula lambala karka deka collateral nerpa yakiluma hama ayen non product. You look out and see wulanyi the dynamism of lala area ma wulanyi the lolochi ka le kana antozan lala product mana. So trakam na te bankar mala kama te manuma pambe dahma pune ka bor loan kami ka collateral kami into loan. So katekana te ledinya la ngone ya chate kana with a product the product that anto to loan ma ko bazan collateral na. So an kama te le ulanyi otumama anto to halne la 6 billion to ko gonyo ngono to nole banka shaku to ta 6 billion to bushi tamshango ka collateral kan kanyi business enira. So the boss no panka de banka ma kare zupa. So unkamle reta nyimba ne Stanbic anto nkara tiku deal loan mpage 6 billion ka bobo hakama wula nyi a collateral
akara with a free advertisement ngara. So I'm abizarre the two of Alhaji Kamani the most media ngwana wonya makama the mala kama corporate world ma yidi with tabro strongly some media houses so because kama program was to tabobjani Sagani TV ako channel programs ma ka tuni ka Stanbic Bank na to ko kemu de funi share ko tap song because ma corporate but especially TV station they handle ka do na aside na CEO to be pam tanpa kamane fans polo so some din ka tuni kamera yeno bank no ma yin ku yunda ba ibaro ko tap song de kate ba media wo ba ka approach and tool.
So there are two things that we can do. Okay. One is to corporate social responsibilities. But I don't think that a corporate social responsibility should go to a profit-oriented institution. Iba ina na mwa kabwarla nyore. Kabagma bwana na kabor nyore. Bangma ko tuza munyo mtizana mtizantinya. Aba bonzana zanti di partially needy in the society ba bwarla la sensement. So ben bwarla armane oyo school fees imal pipsi kabka ban lerba. Izan la larma. De man la de son biawo ga ila zan zanti compagnie larla kabale TV station. And the second bit is to check access to products to grow, which is what I just spoke to you about. So didn't gazo ka Sagani TV ka ti kama to born to the machine shana. La machine da mi ma la pam. Te ka la din dala la machine ma. Ka la yin to so ti ka ti dala la machine ma. Ka ti le yele over a period of time. The bank can look at that. Be go to ka Sagani ya kama o sham kama na advertisement. But I will to la art me di jamen to you to back the staff salaries. You know, to overdraft zone you la did kind of katikati yoya. Those are things that the bank would be able to.
How about you know minority achiever? You push your parenti he advertises Stanford Bank.
Which is the third bit I was going to talk about. So the third thing is to say that look, karatu to kana he advertise into the Stanford Bank. But that would depend on the proposal Jalinzana.
So my proposal
kadamali ya be yanga anyo ti ula katena but the penya ba bele dene ba mi yaba ndane ni bankama zacho pishol lana
upro na hali so ko merte yuma yin yes but to jiri fila WhatsApp yarma na kama wai to kun kala yawo kana fe tenji
so mo mi bankama zacho ma so ne amane be dangane kuma bara biyo so
pero dama ita ko ka to ko zanti jima na sa ka buta to ko complex kalabna ti labna Jima S2E13. Mbongo Bank Limited nyumpa Sagani TV manobna chiva zo karakana Sagani TV. Abdul-Jalil na bia to futu kwa mkalama ti labna to zanti ta zona ka qualify.
Bonzali have branches in Kumbungu, Tamale Main, Lamashegu, Yendi, Karga, Nyamfala, Sang, and Cherpon with a head office at Kumbungu. Call Bonzali on the following number.
My Northern Achiever is proudly brought to you by Bonzali Rural Bank Limited, Unity, Strength, and Wow.
Thank you so very much for staying with me on my Northern Achiever. Today I have with me Alhaji Farhan Al-Hassan, head of business banking at Stanbic Bank Ghana, and we've been having a wonderful conversation with him. He's telling us how he grew up and all the jobs that he has taken up and how he's been able to turn around so many things with his group or with his colleagues all the time. But before I go to social media and ask questions that people have been posing to me to be given out to you, what is your secret weapon in life?
So there are a couple of values you need to hold as a human being. I can values that you don't deserve to live. So I call it the 3H. Okay. The first H is hard work. Okay. The second H is humility. Wow. And the third H is honesty. Wow. So if you are hardworking, you are humble, you are honest, the sky is your limit. And that has guided me in all my life. So if you ask me, I think those are the three key values that are so dear to me. So anywhere I find myself, I try to give the best that I can. I will always be the first to come to work. I will always be the last person to leave. And I would ensure that I work very hard for the organization. I try to be extremely honest in all I do to the best of my abilities. And of course, humility pays. I mean, you shouldn't work on it as if the entire world or it belongs to you. So you need to be very humble. I have been very privileged to have been a leader throughout my life, back in school and in the professional world. And I have come to realize that when you are humble, your people galvanize around you and you can do anything.
Who has been your role model growing up? You have such a huge conviction.
So I think that the Bangu of Pema Misandani, he mentored me right from when I Kalbang. So he's one guy who has really touched my life a lot. And of course, direct boss right now, so he's also been extremely useful in mentoring me. But in the junior Ilipuni, when mentor, it was Nelson Mandela. He's one person who I admired a lot, and I tended to want to be like him. So I could be a permanent and Mandela could be no canon on the channel de no knowledge. So those are my very strong weapons. And I think that if you ask me today, have I regretted for living those three values? Absolutely no. If I had the opportunity, I'll live these values over and over again.
Wow. Charlie, the North is indeed blessed with serious brains, and we need to begin to utilize these people more. Let's keep telling them that they are doing well, so that we don't wait until when they are no more and we begin to eulogize them. No, it is wrong. But now let's come to social media. I posted a picture of Alhaji on our WhatsApp platform with the question: if you met Mr. Farhan Al-Hassan, head of business banking at Stanford Bank, what will you tell or ask him? Now, this one says, I would like to know if he was the Barclays bank manager for the 3 northern regions. Yes, that's true. And if he was, then why did he resign to become a departmental head instead of? So he said it already that he just needed a new challenge, to take up a new challenge. Yeah. Now, this one says, what are the ingredients? This is from Abdul-Jalil Shirazu Kufidana. He's at NIB Bank or NIB. That what are the ingredients that makes one a complete banker? Is it true to grow in the banking sector, one has to be more of a marketer than a finance or account person?
So I maintain, I believe, give it your best. Okay. Whether you're a security man, be the best security man ever. If you're a teller, be the best teller ever. Look at Gabi, just shine. So if I tell you, for example, me Cal Bank, better than as if you like an assistant manager level. Barclays from Canada to border Samsung bank man. Consumer. No someone like no. Shakana bank man. That's how come I got myself in Baku. Kolo OHI Nyela Novoso Jama way shitty bounty and nation. Kukanati Santa Bank Market Bank Ma Karazogi. So I would say that anywhere you find yourself, you have accountants who are CEOs of the bank, you've got marketers who are CEOs of banks, you've got finance who are CEOs. So I could be local, can just mama kabiti and yelne ule mi tuma garso kam chon ka ayul beden. So
he further asked another question that how is COVID-19 going to reshape banking operations?
A lot. So one of the things you need to realize is that this pandemic has forced companies into invoking their business continuity plans. So the business continuity plans are plans kizana de kariyer ne ditenen ka ben shan ka bank ma ko tulan yogi ula ka tienen 70 clients. And many banks never really many of them never really took these BCMs seriously. But katano ko kangoba kanama. So it has helped them in actualizing those particular or practicalizing those particular plans. And the benefits come out the downsides. So tindan and track the branches ma can staff ka obey kato several customers. So madi nka detailing ba kabi ki labna ki bani staff to be yin ka several customers. Yin bo no be yin ka several customers. This yin da mal branch kara like kulan bani male branch kara. Do me dun dan la ma customers they were still being served from exactly. And customers that to lambal mobile phone ma no de benyara can increase. So you say buy any investment into your alternative channels. The song clients we only to no shop of phones or okulan kana banking hall. Okukana banking hall this side we are the banking hall ma in boni i linya the barlama this I be in check ka size ma kana bela. You know la light bills then kana tanga be kala Air condition, in your 20 air conditions. If you five air conditions. So then the entire business is spam. And once that business is spam, obviously the downsides. That's the absolute truth.
Okay. But this one is from Abdul-Jalil Ibn Shaibu from Kumbungo, and he says, I would like to know how he manages stress, because bankers spend much of their time in the banking halls and offices and barely have time for anything.
So it's true, and you need to just be very deliberate about it.
So do you still find time to kind of like play football?
For 2 years now, I'm playing football, but it's not because I've not found time. It's just because as you age, you are being very careful.
But then, how do you manage stress?
How do I manage stress? That's a very difficult. I think the assumption that there's stress. I have lived with stress all my life, so it's something that is now part and parcel of me. I just make sure I'm very deliberate around spending time with my family. So weekends, for example, I bought my anyama. I couldn't magarbi saha. Magarbi. Sundays, I try to spend time with my family. This German go, I'll go a day before the program. The Pakanza one day, Zamvoy. So you just need to be deliberate about. So Dinya Malatumano no Tamale. Can young Karakan come out Asur Dale. Doesn't Asur Mina Alarma and Zamvoy. Atani minimal tuma. Kazam Pili, Azam Pili Tumama. Atin Labina Alabla Alazuma. Kaza Asur Mina Alarma. Amina Iyale. Spending time. So you just need to be very deliberate in managing your time very well.
Abdulhamid Tamimu from Yendi, he asked about 5 questions. I can't grant you that. He says, okay, how did you end up being a banker? You have already answered that one. That can one become a banker without finance or marketing background? Is there?
Don't have okay, I had a finance background after going to banking. So I had my master's whilst I was still working.
Yeah. So, but then would you advise more youth to join the banking sector?
It depends on what their talents are. Look, I advise people that leme ayane beshe polo katwe di developer mazam kwa den polo ayane biala teaching ni zama aya nkwa teaching ma polo ayane biala lawyer ni zama aya na lawyer ni ayane biala soja ni zama aya na soja president role zanya la soja bega lala ka prof bills kuranye teacher kanana kufado lawyer John Mama know the history back in the university.
But they are all politicians.
They are not just they become presidents of this country. So it just do your best in wherever you find yourself. And for me, that is the advice. The journey, I did mathematics, so no mathematics as my first degree, and Campbell masters in economics and another masters in finance. Right. But I don't think that, and I got all these masters whilst I was in banking. It has not shaped or influence where I am today.
So Abuska says he has done very well. Then Haj Rufai Ben Waya says Mr. Farhan is someone who doesn't look down upon people. Whoever you are, he will give you your respect. May God guide us and make our dreams come true. Mr. Farhan is an example who grew tall in every society. But this is
thank you.
And I think
thank you.
Yes. And then this one says, wow, this is indeed a personality. Very affable, accommodative, kind to all, a loving heart. God bless him. That is from Abdul Malik. And then Mukaila Suleimana says, I will pray for him and request him to give me money. Mukaila Suleimana says he will request for money from you. Would you give?
Tell him he has no problem. Once I have it, why not? It's good to share.
So I would want you to look into my cameras right about now and tell every youth watching, how they should live their lives to become successful in future.
I think the caboodle of discussions that we've had from start to now has centered on what the path has been for me, and I think that that for me is enough for anyone to want to learn from. Be who you are, enjoy yourself, have principles that guide what you do. But remember that people are looking up to you. You cannot afford to disappoint them. Abba minama bazama chanshukuru be karam. Nago that is not news with danshale. There's examples that I be halshangane, I go to pale. The manla these days, dama nyubu, var nyubu, tima valbu, cocaine nyubu, the galsi, tituzo bihasinapam. I think I Buhamani Yabakam, but side, Bananzala, Biasmaza, Zanson. The Najin so we've seen examples of it. The Najin Unsong so. Karamala Kamajima Lanka to Biasma, Punako Yanka be Yishina, Nti Yer so to Aka, Abuharama, Ui. Yakazakuri Yer on Euroshama. I don't Gilati Vizo Yere, Lala Nirma Yetua, be Radio Call, be Okunyumba Eurole, didn't know Eurosham. Those ones are the Balampa Hayaka, Niyakama. Bihagun Birma, Timala Zakpa, Bihaguma. One of them is in one of the three Pamela Pam, Anya Akuma, Ada Shukurne Bay office in Bayinga, the 2000 Ojimani Shale, Zanto. I could Yesuba, Kabu Venyalanga, Abaka, Abu Venyalangama. Zoan Yesuba Sambangone, Kubanka Dili, Abba Kadima. So Jima Daniel Yelkama, the third quantity to Zobema Mini, to Bimakama, Bokama. Bihaguma di zat pananye shele katizan zanti bihaguma puni. But I think you can end your interview with that umbarum nampuhe nkanambanima ambaria hasania la karmakancha mbaminima nenda ngabole sudan coach muni ora diti wahalapam umbar nanzan kimakapu biza. I think I've become who I am because of bizarre guidance. So impuro bizarre kaparabane benda no solo shall go to Hakatipa Tumpa Sham.
Kati yisi the best one kamani anya nisa so mbware da da manan sombo pam an son sham kamani tuma banking sector ya kana ce aku son shaba labs ga mbo bwar mai bukata na ban waka tutu bonne cheka ato tira ka asu ko pia na tipma ka kunya kam yo ku tirma.
But don't forget, I'm a Shalakad Nambala. Now, on Shabana Zanta. So, I believe to what end? So, Mina Bankan Zanta, Magata board like a Yeno Kuzanta. But this are Yel now, the Orlands and the Mazant, wasn't so Belama. So, I think that didn't Kunyale. I could Malaka Subakati Borka Malia. Then you be Huma, is on left of that year. The Donaka Biati in the Carnella Bench was Santiba and Aborla. Shall be Subantin Channel Santino Borashel. Be the Pashaba, I be not in Santiale. No Borla, no Borashel. Interview man, the Tamlakans, one another example of Nirwe Banam no could be Halshane, Kabetishina, Ntijir the Danfan, Katamongat Kunyale. Maybe interviewing a Sukana, Ntinoba Yakaza, Kasushi interview, no Bomara Songopam. No that Pili Karobanda Songo. The Sama Tuma Ponyama. Those are Aku be Hakam Yimini, the Labihaguma. The two songs biane be Carlapsa biane. Dimini Kanyin Bo Abia Adan the two songs be Carlapsa so younger. But I think the answer to your question is that I'm Shelma, Saluza de Canao Zantama, Akon Lama, Ka Naon Philippo Zantama, Saluba didn't find.
Wow, Zomo Pika to Kuya Zantijima Zanza, the Yasan Pam Alhaji Farhan Alasan Mbala, one of the head of business banking at Stanford Bank. Ka the auditor alisama pam ka yalla jakam ne kamano ka yeto awoma kunyala won yarma tunti ira hankal mani ne shelde fune kaza wala yabo to tuma inshallah bi agunya din yabo to tibira YouTube ne Facebook zasa ne all social media handles number yini at my known achiever I could pay social media type as we speak now video ma bi ala YouTube live ka be Facebook ba live so te po ya ka pam ni mu no ma and if you need any video is it wedding, music video, whatever kind of video you want, just call my producers. We will link you up with Sagani Studios. They are the ones in charge of my Northern Achievers, filming and everything, and they will give you the best of videos that you would ever imagine. This is where time is going to allow us for today, and I do believe that we have learned a lot from Alhaji Farhan. I can only thank him enough for making up time in all these busy schedules speaking to us today. Let's not make that time that he has given to us useless. Let's make it useful by adhering to all the admonishments that you have given to us as youth, so that tomorrow probably it could be greater than he is. Until I come your way again next week, I am Abdul-Jalil Naabeli, and the son of Musa Kubo. But I will not sign out without saying hello to my good friend, El Boga, Latif Boaro of Boaro Mobile Phones Technology, and also on Sunday, 28th of June 2020, my own brother a childhood friend and a brother, Issa Jaffa, is wedding Maria to Kiptia inside END, and we invite everybody to come to the wedding. Bye bye for now.